I see lots of stories in newspapers that I think make good ideas for videos because they bring up lots of points of law and interest that I can bring to you on this channel to explain. Although in some situations they might not be all they seem to be on the surface. Such as this one story that I looked at in The Sun this morning, which is where a chap said that he's afraid to switch on anything in his house because when they went on holiday, their bill with British Gas tripled. Now the headline of this article reads, "Switched off. My British gas bill tripled when I was on holiday. I'm wearing extra jumpers because I'm scared to switch anything on." So essentially this article describes how a couple went on holiday to Spain for a whole month. Only when they got back, they found that their bill with British Gas had tripled. They say that not only were they not in the country, but nobody was staying in their home. Pete said they'd also switched off their gas appliances as they do every time they're away for a break. There's one part of this article that I'll come to in a moment that makes me a little bit suspicious, which might not actually lay the blame at the door of British Gas. The article explains how he found it really strange and that he also noticed that the gas bill went up every time that they were away, such as earlier in the year. He said that after explaining the problem to British Gas, the agent suggested that someone else had moved into the property while they were away and had been using the gas, and British Gas therefore said there was nothing they could do about it. Pete, however, also said that his neighbour is the only person that has a key to the house and is very trustworthy, and he just clears out the mail and keeps an eye on the place. Presumably in defence of his neighbour, Pete says that if there was a lot of use of the boiler, the electricity would have gone up as well, and goes on in the article to say that they've been loyal British Gas users for 27 years and just don't seem to be getting anywhere at the moment. Now, it is of course possible that British Gas have overcharged or incorrectly charged for this month that they were not in the property. However, looking at this article from an objective standpoint, if someone else does have a key to that property, it is far more likely, in my view, that someone was actually using the gas within the property rather than it being an incorrect bill just suddenly while they were away. Now, of course, this would make for a very difficult conversation with said neighbour, particularly if they get unwell and they believe them to be trustworthy. But in the absence of any hard evidence that that neighbour was actually in the property during that whole month and using the gas, it's going to be quite difficult to conclusively prove that they were doing so. Unless, of course, someone else was witness to them coming and going and coming in and out of the property and using it. Perhaps it might also be interesting to look at the neighbour's gas bill for the same month to see whether that had a significant reduction, which coincided with the increase in Pete's property while they were away. But either way you look at it, articles like this draw big headlines and lay the blame at the door of British Gas, particularly during this energy price crisis. However, this is one of those cases that may not actually be the fault of British Gas, and there might actually be a simple explanation. For example, in some cases that we've dealt with as a firm before, we've had someone coming with an extortionately high water bill. I'm talking in the region of £20,000 to £30,000 for the year, and only to find out that there was a significant leak within the property somewhere. Now, the water company's perspective is that they are responsible for the water up until the property, and anything within the property is of course the responsibility of the property owner or the current resident if they're a tenant of the property. This is why when you get those little leaflets through the door for insurance to cover such things as leaks, repair, escape of water, and all of the costs that flow from that, pun intended, those are probably well worth taking up because for a few pounds a month or a few pounds a year, you might escape this situation and create a watertight protection. But the overall moral of the story is this. I would urge you all right now to think about who has a key to your property, who might have had a key previously. Maybe you've fallen out with somebody. Maybe they've taken a copy of your key. Because some people have reported to us that when they've had work done in the property, someone has taken the key and who knows whether they've made a copy of that key or not. In those situations, I would be strongly recommending that you get those locks changed. For the nominal fee of paying someone to replace the lock is going to be far less than even the excess on the insurance in the event that you get burgled because somebody had a key. Not to mention that if an insurance company questions why there is no break-in damage to the property, and therefore it must have been caused by somebody using a key, they might lay the blame at your door, pun intended, because if someone has a key to your property and they can get in, then the insurance company might blame you for being careless with that key in the first place and thus refuse to pay out on a claim. So it's my strong guidance to you in the strongest possible terms without it being legal advice, but if you have anyone that you just don't trust anymore or any doubt that someone has a key or has made a copy of that key, I would get that lock changed and be very careful who you have in the property. And instead, perhaps, of having someone with a key to your property, install something like Ring cameras or Nest cameras. I'll put a link to the ones that I use in the description below because they are fantastic cameras. They give very high quality imagery and you can view that from anywhere in the world. They give you alerts when someone is there. They alert you if a package has been delivered, if a person is spotted, and for the purposes of data protection, you can also blank out certain areas so that you're not capturing other people and become beholden to GDPR compliance and all of that sort of thing. This is not a sponsored video by any means. These are genuinely something that I use and I'll link them in the description below. But anyway, I thought you'd find that interesting, so don't always take the headline as the absolute concrete conclusion of what's in the story. For me, there is a much simpler potential explanation within here that may well rest with the neighbour rather than British Gas. Let me know in the comments what you think, whether you think it's British Gas to blame or whether you think there might be something awry with the neighbour in this story. In the meantime, please do remember to like the video and subscribe, and as always, thank you for watching.